Stay tuned for today's Antidote, brought to you by the Renegade Success Network. Today's Antidote features a healthy dose of thought-provoking insights and information for business owners, entrepreneurs, leaders, and nonprofit professionals. Each day since March of 2020, this program has offered that one thing to help you continue on your own unique pathway to success. And now, Renegades, we bring you Bob Graham and Tom Brush.
It's Record Wednesday. See what I did there? I turned the R into a W so it was alliterative with Wednesday.
Yeah, I did.
So folks, you may notice if you've been paying attention, and why wouldn't you? Tom and I are wearing the same clothes for the third day in a row. Actually, it's the fourth day in a row now that I think about it. We are recording these episodes this week because Tom and I have some things that we had to take care of, but that doesn't mean we don't care. It means we care even more. So we're going to deliver the A1 quality, top of the line program that you've been dreaming of with us right here, right now. No pressure, Tom. So go ahead, do your thing. No pressure, though.
Okay. Well, good morning, everyone. Thanks for being a part of our show today. As you may know, our conversation this week has been around stumbling blocks. And today we're going to talk about the stumbling block of time, or making time for what we need to do. We've talked earlier in the week about money, and yesterday it was about messaging. So today is going to be time. And I think these are things that many of us all deal with in our professional lives, whether it's with our own business, our own organization, the teams that we work with, or just the work that we do. These are things that get in the way. They get in the way of us taking the next step along our own unique pathway to success, which is what our goal is to help you accomplish. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that today, talk about time as it relates to that. But before we do, Bob, do you want to share a little bit about our Summer of Celebration?
What if I said no?
Okay, everyone, just so you want to know that Bob and I, because of what's been going on in the world over the last few years, decided that this summer would be the Summer of Celebration. So you can go inside the Ring of Renegades Facebook group and post your celebration of the day. There will be a post. I'll put a graphic in there. Bob is now out of the picture, so he's done. You can then share, what are you celebrating? As we try to make this summer all about the growth and success and positive things that are happening around you, so that we can remember the value that we offer to the world and that we gain from others and the things that they are achieving and accomplishing, that makes the world a better place to live. So now that, since Bob didn't want to talk about it, I did.
That was very good.
Thanks. Quick too.
Yeah. Touche.
Now we're going to talk about our topic. Do you want to share some thoughts about stumbling block of making time, Bob, or are you out?
Yes. So I was coaching a client not that long ago, and he was complaining because he couldn't get anything done. And he had three big things that he had to do. And so I said to him, okay, what would the perfect day look like? How much time would you allocate to each of them? And he's like, well, I do this one at this hour to this hour. I do this one from this hour to this hour. Okay. Read it back to him. Yeah. Okay. Is that doable? Absolutely. Okay. And just going through the process and putting it down on paper and saying, okay, you want to work for an 8-hour day. You can't spend 12 hours. You're going to commit to, what are those 8 hours? 10 to 6, 9 to 5, whatever. 3 a.m. to whatever 8 hours would be, 11 a.m. It doesn't matter what the hours are. It's that you have to be intentional about what you do. And helping this person see that they weren't being productive and they weren't getting things done wasn't any major work on my part. It was just getting them to recognize what they needed to do and then allocating a block of time and saying, this is how much time I should give to this each day. So I'll give you the one that you probably see it when you're working with people. I see it all the time. I don't get a lot done in the morning. Well, what do you do in the morning? Well, I scroll through my Facebook and my Instagram, and I could do. How long does that take you? I'm thinking it's going to be like 15 minutes. Oh, that can be an hour and a half, sometimes 3 hours. And then if there's a YouTube video, if someone has pictures, that's not work time. If you're scrolling through and if you're considering that work time, that's probably why you might be having the stumbling block of time at times, because you're not focused on what's going on. Your eyes moved off to the side, and I thought maybe you were having company.
No,
okay. So I think that's one of the things is, what are you really using your work time for, and what really is your work time? Because if you called and did a sales call, but then you talked to the person for 2 hours about your trip to the Bahamas, those 2 hours really don't qualify as work time. Yes, you were at work, but don't, and I think the more you look at what you're productively doing when you're working, it's really key.
Sure. I think it depends on what you're trying to accomplish within that call. If you're trying to build relationship as a part of cultivating someone or stewarding someone for their involvement as a way of building that know, like, and trust, then that might be considered valuable use of your time. And I think that's the piece of it, is I think that I'm not sure we define really what we're trying to accomplish within the time that we are allocating to whatever it is. So that when we look back on what were the results, somebody might just say, well, you were just scrolling through Facebook or LinkedIn or whatever your favorite social media is. You might be able to argue that I found some really key things out about potential clients that are going to go into the system that are going to make us more effective when we go and do marketing to them, or we do outreach, or we try to connect with them one-on-one, so that we're not just sending the same old email, but we're sending something that is tailored to their interest, that has relevance to what we're trying to do with them as a potential client. And I think that becomes the challenge, is that we judge or try to evaluate what we did with the time without really determining what was the intent. And I think we all have the same amount of time. It's always interesting to me to hear people talk about how busy they are. Okay, yeah, we're all busy. We all have 24 hours in a day to figure out how can we make the most of that time for whatever it is we're trying to accomplish. If you're at work, maybe it's for work. If you're on a vacation, it's to make sure that you're relaxing or engaging or having fun, or whatever it is that you want to accomplish as a part of that. And I think without knowing what the intent is, it's hard to evaluate the results. And yet we do it all the time and say, oh, that was a waste of time. Or, yeah, I don't really have time to do something. I don't have time to come to your counseling session. I don't have time to come to your presentation about your widget and why it's going to change my life. Because we don't necessarily know what that time will bring. Right. And we are just assuming that this is what the result is going to be, and it's not going to be something I want, and just some other salesperson trying to sell me something, and I don't have time for that.
Which raises the issue, Tom, of wasting other people's time. I have been in this situation, I'm sure you have as well, where you're doing one of those networking calls, and 90 seconds into it, you're pretty clear that what this person's offering doesn't appeal to you in any way. Yet they still go through their whole pitch and still go through everything about it. And it's like, could you at least tailor it to, hey, Bob, I get that this isn't right for you, but you might know someone who needs this. And here's why this would be valuable to them. And really, I think being respectful of people's time. Like whenever I call a client or a prospect, hey, is this a good time to talk? You'd be amazed how many times they say, no, it's really not. I'm prepping for a big meeting. I've got to get out of work early today because my kids are sick, or whatever. And having that discussion around time and respecting others' time really, to me, is part of that stumbling block. If you believe that people are just waiting for you to chew up their time, you're probably not having as much success as you could.
Well, and you haven't probably outlined what is the expectation of that time. Those are the ones that frustrate me, is somebody says they oh, I want to connect. Let's connect and engage. And all they want to do is pitch you. Well, that's not what the intent that you shared you wanted to do. So now, yeah, you are wasting my time, because if you had told me that was the case, I could have made a decision. Maybe I still would have taken the call. Or I might have said, you know what, at this point, I'm not interested. I don't need to be pitched on that. If you want to really talk about how we could get to know one another, how we could start to figure out what are the next steps that might be valuable, I'm open to that conversation. And I think that's part of it, is that there's just not that connection isn't made of either how are you using the time with someone else? What's the real purpose? Or how are you using the time and the purpose of what you're trying to accomplish within that time? And I think when we lay that out, it makes it a lot easier to have a better understanding of the value that is placed on how we use that time.
And I think there's another area. If someone's gone from a corporate world to an entrepreneurial world, the demands on time are much different. There's administrative stuff that you have to do. You have to send out invoices. You have to, I can remember working at a job where I just did my thing and then all the other departments did their things. And it was beautiful. Then I opened my first company and it was like, I'm out of paper clips. I gotta go to the store. I gotta go buy paper clips. Whoa. I actually wrote a magazine essay about it. And, we also have that challenge if we're being an entrepreneur in figuring out how to use our time.
Sure.
Because it's not as defined as it was in our job. And then the fourth aspect of time when we're being entrepreneurial is how do we charge so that we're not trading time for money? Because the $20 an hour that you got paid at your last job isn't really what you want to be charging if you are a business owner, because you've got some other expenses that you didn't have before.
Or they're not enough. Well, or you backed your hours up, bang, 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 bang. And then you don't have time to do all the other things that you need to do as a business owner rather than just as an employee. It's interesting, I think, because in some regards, when you're an employee, someone else is telling you how to use your time.
Mm-hmm.
When you're a business owner, you have to decide how you and others are going to use their time if you have staff or employees. And I think understanding that and being clear and upfront with what are the expectations can make it a whole lot easier for there to be less confusion about how you use your time.
Absolutely. Well, Tom, we're at that point. Everyone's been waiting. What's that one thing today when we think about the stumbling block of time?
Yeah, I think that, a little of it to me goes back to priority. What are you prioritizing? Because you have a finite amount of time. And how do you prioritize that? And I think what goes along with that is I think what I shared of what's the intent? Mm-hmm. And then figure out, did I achieve, or what went well, what didn't go well, what would I do differently when I have that same intent or the next step in that intent, and how would I best leverage the time to do it? I think that if we track our time, as you shared, we'll understand that we're not as efficient as we could be, and that we have plenty of time. It's just more a matter of how we manage.
Sorry, I think could you hear the motorcycle go by?
I couldn't tell if it was a motorcycle or a truck, but
that was a motorcycle. I think I would go more simple, and I'm going to go back to a couple of weeks ago. I sent out an email to our database, and it was, are you a time manager, or are you being managed by your time? And I think the first thing to really think about is, are you in control of your time? Do you know what you need to get done? And are you allocating time to those things that have to happen? Or are you just letting other people control your time? Sure. One of the biggest ways that people can control your time is when they call you and you're in the middle of something and you take their call, versus, you know what, I'm going to let that go to voicemail and I'm going to pick it up when I get done my thought, when I get done my meeting. because I think that can really make a difference. And I know there's someone who's going to say, well, I'll lose. What if it's the most important client in the world? It's a big contract. You know what? If they really want you, they'll wait for a return call.
Sure. And how often is that the case?
Next to never. It'd be like winning $5,000 in a raffle. Oh, wait, that happened to you.
Don't share that with the world. No,
Why?
everyone's going to think that you get this windfall.
You think they're going to be like, Tom, hey, give me $1,000 for my business?
Maybe. Who knows?
Maybe you'll do it.
Maybe. It'll depend on what the value, I think, of the resource is.
There you go.
All right,
All right.
everyone. Thanks so much for being a part of our show today. If you have thoughts about the stumbling block that you face or you have faced around making time or any sort of time management challenges, please feel free to share it in the comments. And you can also share your one thing of how that will help others figure out how to move forward when they reach the stumbling block of time. You can also share it inside the Ring of Renegades Facebook group. It's easy to do. Just go to Facebook, search for Ring of Renegades. If you're not yet a member, you can ask to join. You just have to tell us why you are a renegade. And then you can become a part of our growing community of people trying to figure out their next step along their own unique pathway to success. So we hope that we will see you inside the Ring of Renegades Facebook group, or we'll see you tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Eastern time, for our next edition of today's Antidote. Here is some further information about the Ring of Renegades. I hope that you will enjoy it. I hope that we'll see you inside of there soon. Have a great day.
Carving your own path is tough. You want and need a community to offer you insights and advice, share inspiration, provide support, and save you time and money. But where do you find all that? Here's the easy answer: the Ring of Renegades Facebook group, where leaders, entrepreneurs, and business owners identify their next steps. Here's some of what you will find at the Ring of Renegades Facebook group. Just go to ringofrenegades.com and join today. Find and accomplish those next steps.